First off, apologies that this is coming out at 4:30 on Sunday, the day of lockdown. The reason why it's taken so long is because, obviously, yesterday I relaxed a bit and I realized how awesome Brad Jones's 80s Dan character is. And that's pretty much what I did most of the day. I watched Mike J and Brad Jones all day. Basically, that's all I did, pretty much. That was it. I shot, obviously, a SmackDown video, and that was up. And this video would be coming out next Thursday, but next Thursday I'm actually putting up our Academy Awards recap, so that's coming up this Thursday. And it plays in tune with back when we had all the award show prediction videos go out on Thursdays. This is going to add to it since it's the last one of the season. So, that's going down. That's the reason you're getting this tonight. The same night that TNA Lockdown will be taking place live on pay-per-view from Miami, Florida. Now, a little housekeeping. Got some news, got some really awesome news. We talked about a couple of days ago how I would be making my return to Old Key West. Really excited about that. It is now official. I will be making my return to the namesake of this channel, Pop. That's right, Pop Century will be my destination of choice for my dad, my stepmom, and myself when they join me in September. September 22nd through the 28th, we'll be staying at Pop Century. Really excited about that. We're going to be splitting it up, 3 days at Disney, 3 days at Universal, so that's going to be really awesome. We're going to do a little water park action too, play some mini golf. It's going to be really fun, looking forward to that. And of course, before that, opening weekend, presumably opening weekend of Halloween Horror Nights 24, September 19th, checking into Cabana Bay at Universal. So it's the first time I've stayed on Universal property. Really excited about that. All that information still to come in the near future. And tonight, of course, is Lockdown. Lockdown actually starts in about 3.5 hours. So I'm looking forward to that. Really stacked pay-per-view. Actually, let's just get down to it. Let's talk about Impact from last week. So, Bobby Roode comes down with the Bromans, and they get in the ring. At Lockdown, this company will change, as it will be finally properly ran the Roode way. MVP, you're simply in the way. Austin Aries comes out, of course, the final member of Team Roode for Lethal Lockdown. He says, the only reason you won over MVP last week is because I helped you out. Aries wants a piece of the pie. He wants part of that 10%. Bobby says, remember Rule 1. The Rule 1 is winning this match. And after that, we're going to talk some business. And Aries basically calls his bluff and says, you know what? I will never work underneath you. We split this 5 apiece. So obviously he wants 5 in addition to being a part of this team. So Robbie E, of course, has to interject himself and says, you know what? You're the it factor, but we're the deciding factor. Everyone wants a piece of the pie. So everybody involved in Team Roode wants a piece of that 10%. It's dwindling down slowly but surely now, isn't it? Now, excuse me. I am the captain. I'm the captain now. I call the shots. Come on, you knew I was going to do that, right? So, there's not a man who will help MVP win at Lockdown who can measure up to my greatness. This is the words of Austin Aries. MVP and the Wolves come out. MVP says, you know what, I'll own up to it. I made a bad decision when I trusted Austin to call it right down the middle. And I've made my decision. Dixie Carter comes down, of course, to interrupt and says, you know what, it doesn't matter anyway because I went to New York and it doesn't matter who your partner is. I can guarantee victory. Now, it's funny because New York in wrestling vernacular usually means another name for WWE. Back in the day, they would say, are you going to WWE? Is basically, people would say, I'm going to New York. So, you go to New York if you go to WWF, you go to Atlanta if you go to WCW. Made sense, right? Go to Philly, going to ECW, I don't think that was ever used, but still, it's like, I'm going to Philadelphia. I never heard anybody say that before. Not in the way I'm talking about right now. So, she doesn't care who the partner is. She simply says she will stop at absolutely nothing to keep control over this company. So, MVP makes the announcement that the charismatic enigma Jeff Hardy is the final member of MVP's team at Lethal Lockdown. Dixie's like, no, I suspended him. And I'm not reversing this, I refuse. MVP says, when we win, we will control. Jeff will return, and there's nothing you can do about it. Dixie says, over my dead body. Bobby doesn't care, he just simply wants his 10%, that's about it. And he will own that after Lockdown. Everyone brawls, and we're going to start off the first match of the evening, which is 6-man tag team action. It is the TNA World Tag Team Champions, the Bromans, who by all rights, they are the tag team champions because they won them during the one-night-only pay-per-view over in Tokyo, the Outbreak one-night-only pay-per-view. And they showed them getting the victory in Japan. But they didn't show Sonata taking the X Division Championship off Austin Aries. I guess that title change won't be the case for now. Who knows? This was taped previously, so I would say Sonata will probably come out with the X Division Championship tonight, given the fact he's going to be a part of the big Wrestle 1 versus TNA 6-man tag team match, which I'm really looking forward to tonight. It's going to be really fun to talk about that later. So, nice brawl to start everything. We go ECW style booking. We go right into our first match. It is the Bromans and Bobby Roode taking on the tag team of the Wolves, Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards, as well as, MVP. So that is our matchup. We're going to start it off here. And this actually... Hold on here. I'm going to look here. Where's the Bromans? Alright. So we got ourselves a match here, and this is the opening contest of the day, and actually, this match was pretty good. As a matter of fact, I'd like to see this match in a different form. I really would like to see this given a lot more time and put this on pay-per-view, because this match was good. It was a really entertaining match, a really enjoyable match, and I really liked it for what it was. So we're actually going to talk about this match in its entirety. There you go. Apparently in this match, it was Robbie E., Bobby Roode, and Austin Aries taking on the MVP and the Wolves. That's official here, I guess. Jesse is not in the ring, I guess. Sure. It was crazy, to say the least, and let's talk about it, shall we? We go midway through the match, there's a whip-in, kick to the chest, elevator down on Robbie E. Step-up kick by MVP eliminates Robbie E. It's basically the shining Yakuza kick is pretty much what it was. So Bobby Roode comes in, whip in reverse, back elbow, tag in, double whip, drop toe hold into the sliding drop kick, 1-2, Bobby Roode kicks out. So an elbow to the neck by Roode tags in Aries. He knocks both off the apron for smart measure and charges and gets the boot up. High kick on Aries. Aries gets the IED and then the brainbuster, and that's all she wrote. 1, 2, 3, and the first elimination is made, this time on Eddie Edwards. So Davey Richards gets in, they trade forearms, spinning back kick, whip in reverse, handspring into a spin kick. Aries with a rolling elbow, and the double tag MVP and Bobby Roode, the captains of their respective teams at Lockdown. They're going to go out of here. Comes off the ropes. Clothesline, no sell. And clothesline, Roode, no sells. Clothesline, Roode, Aries makes the save. MVP grabs Aries, and Northern Lariat with the ropes. 1, 2, 3, and MVP is now eliminated. So it's now Davey Richards taking on Bobby Roode and Austin Aries. There's a knee, club to the back, tagging to Aries, whip in, charges into the back elbow in the corner, and there's the Bulldog 1-2. Davey Richards kicks out, tagging to Bobby Roode, side backbreaker 1-2, and a kick out, toss him to the floor. Aries goes up top, crowns him with a double axe handle, toss him back into the ring. Roode makes the cover 1-2, and a kick out, tagging back into Aries. Catapult into a stiff forearm from Aries, and he lays it across the knees of Bobby Roode. Aries comes in with a slingshot into a senton atomico. 1-2 and a kick out. Grabs the rope right before the 3 count. Tagging to Roode, double whip, toss Aries into Roode. Now let me explain this. He tosses Aries into Bobby Roode. So he catches him kind of like a DDT position is pretty much what it is. Well, Davey turns it around, drop kick, and sends Rude down. When he sends Rude down, the connection of the drop kick makes Rude accidentally DDT Austin Aries. I like that. It was nice. Charges in with a knee, goes up top, and he's going for the frog stomp, lands on his feet, and Rude bomb counter, roll up, half crab for Bobby Roode. Rude's about to tap out, Aries with a chair to the back. He gets eliminated via disqualification. So he dives in the chair into the shoulder over and over again. Edwards in, the refs are in, MVP's in, and they stop it as is. So we don't know who's going to have the advantage going into Lethal Lockdown, even though Professional Wrestling 101 tells you that it's going to be the heels that are going to get, obviously, the advantage, because that's how it works. So, you have Earl Hebner in the back and talking with the trainers, and of course he basically says, you know, the only thing I can really do right now, my hands are tied, but I can give you an hour, or you forfeit, and you forfeit, you obviously give up the one-man advantage. Fair enough. So, we get another promo from Samuel Shaw, and you know what? I love this gimmick, I'm not gonna lie. He says when Christy Hemme slapped him, she created something beautiful. So, basically, he cannot wait to create something beautiful when he goes out to the ring. So, Christy bombs out before Shaw comes out, obviously, because he's in action next. Mr. Anderson is going to play the part of Christy Hemme tonight, apparently, because he comes out and he does a special introduction. He says, tonight, Christy Hemme will be nowhere near this match because of that freaking guy, and he points at Samuel Shaw. He says he's going to play the part of Christy Hemme and basically announces Samuel Shaw as creepy bastard, which makes me laugh hysterically. And brings out his opponent, which is Showtime. Eric Young is his opponent, and of course he does a nice little funny introduction saying Eric Young's beard weighs in at 2.5 stone. Since we're in London, it makes total sense, right? So this is our next match. It is Samuel Shaw against Eric Young. I like the dextrification of Samuel Shaw, how he's very Patrick Bateman. Samuel Shaw is a Bret Easton Ellis novel come to life, folks. And it is brilliant. So Anderson's sitting at ringside in Christie's old seat, and of course this allows for a distraction, which allows Eric Young to try to roll up Shaw at the bell. Only gets a 2 count out of it. Plays him with a jawbreaker, the 10 punch, and he gets stopped with a choke thrust of the throat. Which is really interesting about this is right before he choke thrusts him in the throat, he grabs his jaw, knowing that he, of course, was getting pounded in the corner by Eric Young. Well, he was kind of delighting in the fact that his jaw was kind of out of whack. Sure. Boudin chokes him in the corner twice, and then again, distracted by Anderson, 3 big right hands, whip in reverse. EY goes upside down in the corner, Flair style, does the Fargo strut, and shoulder block, ducks the clothesline, flying forearm off the ropes, side belly-to-belly suplex, 1-2, and a kick out. He goes to the floor, and Shaw was bringing out some tea to Christie at ringside during the beginning of this match. And of course, Christie was nowhere to be found, given the fact that Samuel Shaw was at ringside. So, because of that fact, he had the tea at ringside. Well, he tosses the tea in the eyes of Eric Young. And tosses Eric Young into Mr. Anderson. Locks Anderson in the Katagatame, or Gatami, I guess. Katagatame, which, of course, is that judo-style choke that he's using now to choke out Mr. Anderson, and he says, and now I go back to claim what's rightfully mine. We see Christy on the monitor. She needs to run. MVP looking for Austin Aries, and basically gets up in his face about making the attack and being an opportunist. Of course, Al Snow and Pat Kenny are there to separate everybody. He says, you have no character. I guess that remains to be seen. So, we get our next little interjection of the evening. Dixie's in the back, of course. Ethan Carter III shows up to check on her. Basically says, the only way that you can make things right is if you beat Kurt Angle on Sunday. So, the knee is the weakness. I will not let someone come here and ruin what I built. So, we get that. Samuel Shaw is still looking for Christy in the back, and goes into the women's locker room, and he's looking around, and he runs into Velvet Sky, and Velvet basically gives Christy up because, yeah, I'd do the same thing if Samuel Shaw was accosting me right now. It's like, where is she? And he's like, makeup room. So that segment goes on, and then Ethan Carter III hits the ring. Of course, he wants to call out Kurt Angle. Makes sense. He says, Kurt sucker punched me last week. You'd never do that, ever. I looked up to you. They say never meet your heroes, because they will sucker punch you in the face. I love that delivery. It's brilliant. So you can use the cage as a weapon. You know why? Because you fear my submission wrestling. The ankle lock is no match for my leg lock. See, I can tear it all down. I beat Sting, and I became the new icon of wrestling. This Sunday I'm going to defeat you to become the new face of American wrestling. After Sunday, I'll be the American icon. And he says, we're printing money here. Kurt Angle comes out. He says, you're not an American icon. You're simply an American asshole. Haven't heard that word on TNA in quite a while. I will end your short, pitiful career. He hits the ring. Carter powders. Angle leaves. He's just hiding, and of course, he Pillman clips him from behind, and he tosses him in. Straight drop kick to the knee. Work the elbows to the knee, and then he locks in his leg grapevine or his leg bar, depending on how you look at it, knee bar. MVP, after this, is shown as Angle is being helped to the back at this point. MVP says, "You've shown some strong style spirit. You said if you have to stand for something, you'll fall for anything." Davey says, "My arms hurt, but I'm still breathing." We get a nice promo for the returning Kenny King, which is now apparently being called the King of the Night. I like this. It's playing up his Las Vegas roots. His male dancer roots, too. He says, "When the night falls, I rise." I'm looking forward to seeing Kenny King return to TNA very soon. I think he finally has a niche in TNA, and I think it's going to work really well to his advantage, especially with a new wave on the X Division, which I think that's what we're leading towards, with Sonata taking the title off Austin Aries in Japan, which will probably be mentioned first thing tonight. I would say that this is going to be a start of a new chapter in TNA for the X Division. I think that's the right direction to go. Remember I talked about the 6 Knockouts tag match last week, and I was like, it's going to happen sooner rather than later? It did. It happened the next week. It is the 2/3 of the Beautiful People, Velvet Sky, and your Knockouts champion Madison Rayne, teaming with ODB, taking on Gail Kim, who is the challenger tonight, Lady Tapa, and the Alpha Female, of course, with Chris Sabin in her corner. So we go to this very short match. Madison with the Northern Lights suplex on Gail. Lady Tapa grabs her hair. Gail with a drop kick. Goes for the splash in the corner. She misses. Tagging ODB. Clothesline whip in. Avalanche in the corner. And the Bronco Buster drags her out. Stack up pin. 1-2 and a kick out. Forearm on Tapa and Alpha Female. Whoops. And I'm not talking about Monty Brown here. Clothesline ODB and tagging Lady Tapa. ODB gets hit with a version of the Colt 45. Whip in. Charge in with a clothesline. And ODB punches her way out of dire straits at this point. Ducks the clothesline. Tag in, clothesline, back elbow, boot in, comes off the ropes, and a neck breaker by Madison. Gail with a save. Madison spears Gail out of the corner, and Sabin gets in the ring with a chain for some reason. Just calls her a skank. Sabin gets slapped. Sabin charges in. Velvet low bridges him. And from behind, Alpha Female locks on the full Nelson. Gets countered with a back kick in your face, 1-2-3, and babyfaces win. So Velvet Sky, Madison Rayne, and ODB are your victors going into the match against Gail Kim at Lockdown tonight. So we get another really creepy Willow promo, which I think it's going to be Jeff Hardy working twice a night, is what I think it's going to be. Because obviously Jeff Hardy is going to be the man that's going to be on MVP's team tonight at Lockdown, but we're playing up Willow as well, so Willow the Wisp will be making his TNA debut somewhere on the card. So Samuel Shaw sees a redhead sitting in the makeup chair, and the redhead stands up, revealing a very familiar mic on the back of a black t-shirt. He says, basically that he's going to beat him down, and he does. He's like, well, hi, Samuel, and then he just punches him in the face, starts beating the daylights out of him, throws him to the side of a wall, grabs makeup, like some sort of lipstick, and draws on the face, like, don't you look pretty? And he says, if you don't leave her alone, you're going to be in a bad way. Love Mr. Anderson's comebacks here. So, Anderson bombs out, and Shaw's left laughing. So, yeah, it's interesting. Interesting that they're not playing up the fact that Samuel Shaw doesn't like pain. He loves pain. He's a sadomasochist. It's another thing you could add to this new character. So, yeah. 50 Shades of Samuel. So, Gunner comes out, and he says, you know what, I take days one day at a time. I've worked for everything I have. But when the Feast or Fired briefcase came down, jealousy set in you, James Storm. Rage came out as you stabbed me in the back. You're a coward. You ran from a fight. The cage is the battlefield. And we're going to do battle. Cowboy James Storm comes out. He's like, you know what? You take that military way too seriously. Yeah. It's simply an excuse. You know what? You need to pack yourself a lunch because it's going to be an all-day ass-whipping come Sunday. Gunner's right. You know what? That's fine. I want to fight. I've got something to prove to everybody. You know what? I want to prove I'm the toughest member of this tag team. It's like, why don't we make this last man standing? Which, far as I know, it hasn't been officially announced as the last man standing match. I don't think so yet. No, it's not last man standing as of reading the website as of this moment. It may end up getting changed at the last minute, but I don't know. But basically, Storm just gets in his face like, I've been a world champion. You never will. You better pray to your God because James Storm is going to cut you down. He knees him in the groin. Nails the GSK. Yeah, Del Rio's GSK. Which is, of course, the last call super kick to the side of the head. Lays him out. And that's all she wrote. I don't mind this storyline. They're really seeming like they want to push Gunner heavily. So, yeah. I don't have an issue with that. I hope that James Storm goes on to bigger and better things after this feud with Gunner. But who knows at this point. So, basically, Bobby Roode pulls the referee out. Pulls Brian Hebner out, by the way. And says, you know what? That's it. We're going to the ring. We just count him out right now. And then give us the man advantage going into lockdown. So he starts counting. We get to 8. We get some very familiar music. Here comes Davey Richards. With MVP and Eddie Edwards, of course, as well. He's got his arm taped up. And let's go midway through this match, shall we? This actually wasn't bad. I'd like to see these two wrestle in a full match, to be totally honest. But unfortunately, it was not the case this evening. Enziguri kick from Davey and charges in Roode over the top rope to the floor because he got low bridged. Tope by Davey tosses him in, goes up top for the missile drop kick, 1-2, Bobby Roode kicks out. Stiff kicks, goes for the buzzsaw, sounds familiar, right? And ducked into the Roode bomb, countered sunset flip, 1-2 and a kick out, and goes for the half crab, and Roode breaks with a kick to the shoulder, charges in, goes shoulder first to the ring post, and Bobby hits the Roode bomb, locks on the crossface, and there's the tap out. After the match is over, he locks on a Fujiwara armbar, and Edwards and MVP make the save. So, obviously, Davey Richards is at a severe disadvantage going into the match tonight, and that will probably play a part in a potential false finish in the match, if I had to guess. So, our main event segment is between the TNA World Heavyweight Champion Magnus and the challenger, which will be Samoa Joe. Joe calls Magnus out to the ring, and he says, you know what, you should know better than question my courage, my manhood. You know me better than anybody. We won championships in TNA and in Japan. You turned your back on me. Magnus basically says, the main event mafia, once it was gone, I became the main event. The World Heavyweight Champion. Your rage will be your undoing. You are a bad man. But how many times have you blown opportunities because of your rage? Your vulnerability makes you weak. At lockdown, I will return and retain that championship. Joe just says, you know what? You're right. You're right, Magnus. It's all true. I do have a rage problem. Simply put, I just want to drink your pain and shed your blood. I get a little crazy sometimes. But a lockdown, it's not Magnus's rules. It's Joe's rules. knockout or tap out. And you know, you're not going to walk out of that cage at all. So, Magnus with a headbutt, soccer-style headbutt actually, or football-style headbutt since we're in London, stomps away, and Joe turns it around, repeated punches, locks on the Coquina clutch, and chokes Magnus out. Gee, I wonder what that means for tonight. Impact this week. Alright. Matches I'd recommend. MVP and the Wolves against the Dirty Heels and Robbie E. Definitely recommend that match. It was really good. I'd like to see a lot more between the six. And I would definitely recommend Bobby Roode and Davey Richards. It was good. And I like the promo from Ethan Carter III. He's really starting to grow on me, honestly. And it really didn't take much, because I've always liked this guy. Even back when he was Derek Bateman. Speaking of which, I do want to mention real quick that this is the go-home show to the show that's actually going to be airing in about 3 hours, which is Lockdown TNA's pay-per-view. And let's talk about the card. I've got it right in front of me right now. And it's changed a little bit in the last several hours. I'll mention that. We have a huge super card here. We have 8 matches on this pay-per-view. And right now, we're looking at what we know. And what we know is this. Ethan Carter III was supposed to face against Kurt Angle inside of a cage. And that match will still happen inside of a cage. But Kurt Angle, of course, has officially been replaced. He is not able to compete because of a myriad of injuries. EC3 said on Twitter this morning he is calling out anyone for an open challenge, but they have to be on the current roster. Options for this. We can have another battle in the ongoing war with Dewey Barnes and Norv Furnham. We could potentially see Bully Ray interject himself, which is what I think will probably happen. Could possibly be maybe Abyss, but I doubt it because Abyss hasn't found himself yet, so I don't think that's the direction we're going to go. Could it be Willow's official debut? I doubt it, to be totally honest. I think money is to be made here by saying it's going to be Bully Ray. And if that's the case, I don't know if EC3's undefeated streak lasts throughout this. I don't think it does. I think it's a possibility this could be the end of his undefeated streak. And if it's Bully Ray, I think if he doesn't win underhandedly, which I can still see, I think Bully Ray is going to destroy him. But I don't think that happens. It could be somebody I'm not even thinking about. I mean, it could be like a Shark Boy, potentially. They've already done that, but still. Maybe a match against Doug Williams, potentially. I mean, it could be anyone at this point. Anyone in the current roster. Could be Kenny King. You never know. There's a lot of people it could possibly be, but EC3 will be in action. And they just added a matchup between Manic, who we haven't seen on television in a long time, and the debuting under this gimmick, a Tiger Uno, who was a part of the 6-man tag team match, but they pulled it so they could do this match, Manic against Tiger Uno. Of course, I saw Tiger Uno in a match at Impact when I was there in December, and the former AAA Extreme Tiger is going to be really good in the ring. Really interesting to see how that match goes over. That's going to be a really good match. It's going to be very fast-paced action, very enjoyable to call that match. This all, far as I know, takes place, yes, everything that takes place inside of a steel cage. So we get Manic and Tiger Uno inside of a cage. Of course, we get the continuation of the feud with Samuel Shaw and Mr. Anderson. I don't know, do I see Christy Hemme getting involved? Yes. Do I think she inadvertently cost Anderson the match? Potentially. Do I think she could possibly cost Anderson the match on purpose? Maybe. It could go either way. I still think Christy Hemme gets involved in this match regardless who the winner is going to be. If I had to guess, I'd say she accidentally cost Mr. Anderson the match, and we continue this feud for a little bit longer. I think that if it's not, I think EC3 wins, but I don't know. I guess if it's somebody like Bully Ray, I don't think he'll win, but I mean, he still could. So I say EC3 wins, unless it's Bully Ray, and I think Bully Ray goes over. I think that Tiger Uno is going to beat Manic, and I think that Samuel Shaw is going to beat Mr. Anderson with the inadvertent help from Christy Hemme. This is a tough one coming up. I think Gunner beats Cowboy James Storm. I think it's going to be it's going to be a bloody match, and it's not going to be the last stipulation match we see between these two. Last man standing, I think, could probably come at Slammiversary if they really want to do it. I know it's usually the other way around, but I guess last man standing will go at Slammiversary. This won't go to Bound for Glory, don't worry. But they've been entertaining so far. We have our Wrestle 1 tandem of the new X Division champion, Saya Sanada and Yasufumi Nakanawi. They are teaming with the legend, the man, the myth, Keiji Muto, the Great Muta, and that is going to be in 6-man tag team action against Chris Sabin and the Bad Influence, the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels, and Frankie Kazarian. I think that obviously Wrestle 1 team is over. I think that Muta goes over on... I'm going to go with Frankie Kazarian for this. I think Muta beats Kazarian. So, Knockouts Championship on the line. Obviously, the person that went over on the Go Home show is the one who loses. Didn't really have that this time around because Velvet got the win over Alpha Female. Neither of these are involved. Do I think that this is going to be the time that we switch the championship? I think it'll probably happen. I think Gail Kim walks out with the championship. That's probably a good bet. Lethal Lockdown, let's talk about it. It's MVP, the Wolves, and Jeff Hardy taking on the Dirty Heels, Bobby Roode and Austin Aries, as well as the TNA World Tag Team Champions, the Bromance. I would say that MVP's team is over. I think that we're going to see a Jeff Hardy pins Jesse Goddard to win this. I think that'll probably be what we have. And the main event... It is for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Former tag team partners collide. Samoa Joe finally gets an opportunity to try to take the championship off of Magnus. Magnus will retain in this match with interference. I don't think that Magnus getting choked out was a good sign for Joe winning the championship. Do I think this is the end of Joe in the world title picture? No, not at all. Do I think Joe still wins the world championship? Yes, I do, but I don't think it's now. Magnus needs a win in this. They've put him over as a paper champion. That's basically what he's been this whole time. So, be interesting to see what happens with that. So, that is what I think for Lockdown right now. And the show should be really good. I'm looking forward to these matches. Really, really fun matches. Don't know about having an X Division match with Manic and Tiger Uno inside of a cage. But then again, it could get a lot more entertaining than we even anticipated. So, we'll see what happens with that. Either way, if you are a fan of Impact Wrestling, which if you're watching this recap you have to be, I would say check out this event one way or another. No matter what, support TNA, really. I mean, they could use the support right now because I know a lot of people have turned their backs on the company, and Soro and Disney hasn't, and I will continue to report for Impact Wrestling and hopefully return to Universal for Impact in December. So that's what I'm hoping for. Fingers crossed, because I don't think it'll be during Halloween Horror Nights because I think that will not allow kind of a conflict. Yeah, there's always that. So, that is what I think for Impact this past week and for Lockdown predictions for tonight. Lockdown will be in 3 hours from this very moment, so looking forward to that. So, call our local cable company, take care of that, or watch it any way you possibly can. Check out TNA Lockdown. Support Impact Wrestling in... the new version of Impact Wrestling, and think about it. After this, for all the people that are hating right now on Dixie Carter, don't want to see her on television anymore, you know what? After tonight, maybe, just maybe, she won't be on television as much because she won't be in charge anymore. That is a good thing. But yes, looking forward to the wrestling content on Lockdown tonight, so we're looking forward to that. So that's what we have to look forward to. So yeah, I would say right now that all the matches look promising, they really do. I think that the 6-man could steal the show. I think it's a possibility that Manic and Tiger Uno would be really good. I really think that Joe and Magnus is going to be really hard-hitting. I think that Gunner and James Storm is going to be really violent and brutal. I think Lethal Lockdown will actually be better than you're anticipating, but then again, everybody in that ring, I like everybody in that ring except for Jesse. Yeah, he's the only person that's missing. So, if it was me, I would take Jesse out of the match and put someone else in. And they need to do that. Do that now. Because MVP, the Wolves, and Jeff Hardy, no issues with that. But Aries, Roode, fine. Robbie E, I'm still fine with that. Final member, Jesse. No, get rid of Jesse. Can't really do that now. I think Samuel Shaw and Mr. Anderson is just a continuation of this feud, and that's what I've got. Knockouts title should be pretty good, actually, because they both are decent workers, so it should be good. Gail Kim is awesome, and I love Madison Rayne, so it should be a good show overall. So, yeah. Check that out. TNA Lockdown tonight on pay-per-view live from Miami, Florida. So, we'll talk Impact again on probably not this Thursday, but next Thursday. We'll talk about this week's Impact. If I'm able to do Impact the same night on Thursday, I'll try to. I can't promise anything. Wrestling fans, you can join me also for tomorrow when we're going to talk Impact. We'll talk Impact Wrestling again. We're going to do a Lockdown recap. So we're going to recap TNA Lockdown and talk about it in its entirety. Monday, that's the video for Monday. Tuesday, of course, WWE fans, we're going to talk Monday Night Raw. Wednesday, we're going to talk NXT. And Thursday, we've got our Academy Awards predictions are now finally over. We have our Academy Awards ceremony is finally over. The recap of the Oscars is coming up on Thursday. Friday, AJ's movie reviews. We're looking at, it looks like Need for Speed and the Single Moms Club. That's going to be coming up. And an announcement of a brand new tournament coming to Pop very soon. So that's coming up. So in the meantime, if you like these videos, tell your friends about them, leave a comment, do subscribe, and help spread the word about Pop. If you'd like to, like our Facebook fan page, it's Sir Owen Disney Pop. If you want to be my friend on Facebook, it's Owen Disney. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at Sir Owen Disney. Last but certainly not least, you want to send your thoughts, comments, queries, and opinions, things you'd like to see on this channel. You have new segment ideas. You want to talk about versus ideas. We'll always take requests unless it's something we've already put together. But then again, we still might. You never know. If you want to send us ideas, and if you want to send thoughts, or if you want to send contributions, and if you want to be a podcaster yourself, send me an email at sirowendisney@gmail.com. In the meantime, thank you guys and girls out there for watching, and until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I got to say about that.